Hello, welcome to Bad Bitches on the Bad Batch. I'm Arzu from the Geeky Waffle and RZD2.com, and with me,
I'm Maggie from Your Money Geek, where I'm writing reviews every Friday.
Hello, this is Norhal. I'm from Twitter.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm from Followers of the Force.
Scotty Jarrow, the Bombad cast, and now Bombad Gaming, so that's pretty cool.
Alberto Calderon from Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast.
So we're doing things a little bit differently this week in that Candace is not with us. Candace is has a very exciting weekend. Her sister is visiting her, so she is not with us tonight, which means we're running the show tonight.
Yes. Hello.
Completely. She's going to just show up here and yell at me. So
Look at that, Kylo Hour, yay!
It's bound to happen.
Hello, hour.
Alberto, I swear it's just because you're here.
I know. I was backstage when I came in. I heard you guys just all the horny talk, so I knew I was in I'm used to it. Every time I get invited here.
Speaking of horny talk, we did get something this week that was Bad Batch, but it's still worth mentioning.
Beautiful.
This beautiful,
so
beautiful
pretty.
man.
That beautiful man.
That beautiful Henry Cavill shaped man. Anyway, all that aside, clearly we have already lost the plot. So we are talking tonight about episode 7 and 8 of the Bad Batch. And let's just kick things off. Episode 7. Initial thoughts, everybody. Let's go. I know it's been a week, but
I loved it. I loved episode 7.
Yeah.
The payoff with Wrecker.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Dude, Omega in distress is the worst thing in the world. Like, I was just watching it before it started, like before we did this, and literally she's like, Rekka! And I'm like, God, stop it! Like, this is awful. I hate all this.
Yeah.
Like, she's so stressed out. And
Yeah.
What? No, don't do this to me. This is brutal.
Oh my god. I put in all caps. I've never been more scared in my life.
I know.
Watching a character like Wrecker, who like up to this point has been like goofy, funny, and like really teddy bear, and then he goes like all Order 66. I'm like, oh my god!
I know. It was so scary to see him.
Screamed so many times. So much.
And it was contrasting because at the beginning we saw him with Omega getting dismantled.
Yes.
Just beautiful movement. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll bring it down a little. I was a little not disappointed because every episode has been great so far, but I don't know, for me, especially coming from the previous like 2 or 3 episodes, it's kind of was a little bit slow not slow, but kind of what this last episode was. That's what I really wanted. Return of the Empire and Crosshair. I kind of was waiting for that. But the payoff of Wrecker going nuts, which we all knew was coming, was pretty awesome. Of course, of Mega suffering through it. But someone needs to tell these clones what keeping a low profile really means, because Rex with this clone trooper armor a few episodes ago, Hunter telling Wrecker, "Oh, you stand out. I'm gonna go." When they were in
With his giant red headband.
He's got a half tattoo face.
You stand out. Let me go out with this kid with my face tattoo, and then Rex. But all in all, good episode. I was a little bit down, but it's
But
all
you
good.
mean you wouldn't recognize him with his armor?
Aragorn Rex.
Wait.
Armor of the King.
There
He
you go.
had his Lord of the Rings moment.
Aragorn.
You did.
Yes.
You tell
That
me
was
they
pretty
didn't
cool.
do that on purpose with like
They
the Rex
totally
King,
did.
like
They
in
did,
disguise.
yeah.
Totally
100%
deliberate.
Return of the King. That was awesome.
Yeah,
They
Even
really
when
should
he
have had him
gets
have
a
a big
lighter
ass sword.
something, lights up his eyes the same way that Aragorn does when he's smoking the pipes. It's obviously on purpose, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's
Oh,
the
yeah.
king. We all know that.
Oh yeah. We stand kings.
All right. So
Yes.
after the initial excitement of Rex showing up, they have to go on a mission to deal with this ticking time bomb in Wrecker's head that they seem to think is not a big deal. And Rex is like, actually, it's not just migraine.
No, really.
And I
know.
I do wonder why nobody listens to Omega, because she definitely said inhibitor chip more than once prior to this episode.
Mhm.
Nobody pay attention to her.
Because that's the
I
thing.
mean-
She's like, there's an inhibitor chip, and they're like, "That's nice. Eat your popcorn." So
Yeah. I mean, I have kids that age, so I don't. And yeah, when they say something, sometimes you don't pay attention to everything. But
even when they're talking about inhibitor chips,
I mean, they should have.
They have secret knowledge that you don't about why your head hurts.
And here's the thing, like the number of Mantel mixes that they had consumed was like 20 something,
Yes.
which implies that they've had like 20 something missions, which implies they've probably been there for like a month, I would say, because like,
At
space
least.
travel is not short.
Mhm.
He's had a headache for like over a month and a half now. I mean, kudos to him for fighting the inhibitor chip for like a month and a half. Whereas, Crosshair went pretty quickly in the first episode. Wrecker held on. But did they not think that something wasn't wrong at all?
they're like, "It's fine. It's a migraine."
There's a migraine,
Does
Does he have headaches frequently already? I mean,
You bumped your head once a month and a half ago. It still hurts. It's fine.
It's like I've talked to some people and they're like, "Oh yeah, I have a headache. I'm just gonna work through it." I'm like, "No, go get some Advil. Go lay down.
That
Like, go
sounds
drink
like-
some
Yeah.
water.
I do
Go do
work too
something
much.
about this."
I know.
I've
Don't
been
lay
called
down.
out.
Oh, okay, Maggie.
Maggie, go get some Advil.
Everybody
I
go
was like,
drink
I have
some
a
water.
headache. My mom's always like, "Did you take medicine? Because otherwise I don't want to hear it."
Yes.
They didn't have concussion protocols in Star Wars, so they couldn't put him
No.
aside, check him
Mhm.
out.
No.
So they do eventually decide to check it out when Cooler Heads, aka the best boy Rex, prevails. And they head on over to Braca, which we will recognize from Jedi Fallen Order. And this was more
Yes.
this week and less last week, but did anybody else notice like the walls and you were have to tell them to run on it, or was that just me?
Mhm.
Mhm.
I got a
thought
lot of
about that too.
anxiety looking at those walls. I'm like, oh my God.
Wanting to
Hey,
jump back and
Hold
forth.
on to A. Don't let go of A button. So much anxiety.
So
No.
what? Were you gonna say something?
No, I was just gonna say how beautiful it was. Like I couldn't get over just like staring at all of it. I'm like, why is this junkyard so pretty?
Yeah, it really was. It was so well lit too. Like
Oh,
even
it's
when they went
beautiful.
inside the places, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna say it here: the water animation. I know everyone was talking about that for a hot minute there. Y'all, that
So-
that looked so unbelievable. It kind of reminded me of in Toy Story 4 when they're outside in the rain at the very beginning. I'm like, this just looks that looks great. Like that looks amazing. So yeah, no, that got me going. And of course, the inclusion of what we were confirmed to have, Dianoga, was really nice. So I really dig that.
Yeah, I've said it before. I kind of been down a few episodes, but the animation since the first episode till the last, it's top notch. Some of the best animation out there. So yeah, everything, even Braca, which you think it's just that junkyard planet, just looks great.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Dianoga, the water, everything.
so cool.
So when they eventually get there, they meet up with Rex there. So Rex, for some reason, peaced out on his own.
He's like,
like,
"I got
I'm
my
not-
own ship."
He's like, "You guys make too much noise. I'm going to take a different car. We're going to go in two cars." And he meets them there, and they find the med bay. And it takes a little bit of convincing to like actually get Wrecker in there, which is where everything goes wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Am I remembering this right? Yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I think there's something to be said for going and checking things out on time and not letting it sit. But it does take a while to get Wrecker in there and to get him checked. And then, we already talked about this. Wrecker kind of gives
It was
into the tip
distressing.
in the end,
It was,
which was very, very stressful.
Yeah,
Like, it-
and especially because we had. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Oh,
You're good.
well, what we theorized before that, okay, if they had the chip, the good soldiers, way orders, and the thing that they might find a Jedi or something, but we heard from Wrecker is that any clone that would not follow had to be
Oh, have we lost Norhall?
I thought it was me. I thought it was my internet.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Wait,
just
that-
following up what Norha was saying, just in case she actually did leave. Yeah, it was kind of interesting hearing from Wrecker. If you don't follow Order 66, you're a traitor. You don't have to be a Jedi. Just if you're a clone and you don't follow Order 66, traitor, you gotta go, which is something we didn't know before. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and anybody associated with it too, because he went after Omega. I mean, technically she is a clone, but the way he phrased it was conspiring with traitors.
What was the exact phrasing he used with Omega? Because now I'm struggling to remember it, but I do remember it like rang a bell for me.
I literally just watched it. I think he said conspiring with traitors, like you have to be executed.
Right. So
that was at least part of the phrasing.
Right. So that's what kind of tripped me up with the whole thing was he tells the other guys, he tells the batch that like, you know, clones that are in violation of Order 66, blah, 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 blah. But to Omega, he's like conspiring with traitors. He doesn't give her the same clone line. And I'm like, is that because she's not a soldier? Or is that because she's not a Jango clone?
Ooh, interesting.
Like, it's probably me just reading way too much into this, and it's just that she's not a soldier. But I wondered what y'all thought.
I thought it was interesting how it was very cat and mouse in terms of how they handled it, which was great. You know, you felt the intensity of the moment a lot, and the switch was incredible. He went from being really sweet Wrecker to being just like cut right into it. And in terms of how it happened and where they led to, the fact that he knocked all the adults out and she was the only one that could run for it, whoo, that got the blood pumping. And yeah, I really don't know in terms of exactly what he said, but I know how it made me feel, and it made me feel very good. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I guess for me it was just how easy, like you mentioned, Scotty, how easy he just dismantled all the other 4 clones, Rex, everyone choking 2 of them, just throwing them aside like nothing. We all knew if once Wrecker went bad, it's going to be hard to bring him down because we've seen him mow down through 30 droids. So it's going to be difficult to take him down. So it's kind of scary when he started choking everyone and then started chasing after Omega, after all the mental mix that they shared. I guess that wasn't there when even though at the end he said he tried as hard as he can not to go after her, but that chip, man, it gets you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think besides the animation, I think the music has been incredibly
It's been so good.
on par
Yes.
this season. Like, I cannot wait for the drop next week because I'm going to listen to it and cry for a week. Like, I'm just very like it does such a good job of like conveying all that stuff. Like that moment of silence when Wrecker's chip kicks in. Like that says more than like any music ever could. And I'm just sitting there going,
Yeah, Kevin Kiner is such a genius.
The music's so good. The music seems to pull a lot of the weight because it has so much of the emotional pull.
I have thoughts on the music for the next episode, which
And
some
I
of
have
you
a
have
lot
heard
of thoughts.
my conspiracy comments about the music, but that's for the next episode.
Yes.
So they do manage.
We have somebody dropping in.
Yay!
Nice.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Hi.
Hello there.
Good surprise.
Everyone's being very chill right now. So
Aw,
as long as everyone's chill, I can hang out.
excellent.
All right. So, Hope, your thoughts on episode 7.
Yeah.
What are they?
Yeah. So sorry, I'm late.
Okay.
I had to.
Now you're all good.
You know, this is gonna sound like a slight, but I don't mean it. I'm echoing. Sorry.
Oh no.
We can't hear it if that helps.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then I'll just start talking then.
Yeah.
For me, I really liked it because it was so cool to see Rex integrate, and I love the new style. But the only thing about it is that I think it was the most predictable of the episodes. So that was the only thing that, because it was kind of getting me a little bit about it. But I really enjoyed seeing Rex working with the group and having that open door that he's going to come back and can come back at any time. But, you know, I kind of don't want to see Rex back. I kind of want to, you know, they got their wisdom Rex there, and then now they get to have to figure it out on their own. I think there's something important about having that mentor step in, kind of like an Obi-Wan character, and then they're gone and maybe just check in every once in a while. But they gotta figure this out on their own. he can't make their choices for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter how much he does try, because there is a theme in this one and in episode 8 where they're like, but Rex said that there is something worth fighting for, and Rex said this and Rex said that, and Hunter's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think Hunter's going to have to make a choice at some point.
I'm a father, Rex. You won't understand. I'm a dad now.
Yeah.
So
Were you guys surprised that it was Rex that showed up? I know the episode before everyone was, oh, who's that contact for the Martez sisters? And everyone had their 20 theories. Were you guys surprised? Because some people said, oh, we think it's Rex. I wasn't one of them. Were you guys surprised when Rex showed up?
He wasn't my first thought, but
yeah,
I thought it was Bale, but
he was my first thought.
Yeah.
He was my first thought, and then I thought they won't do my first thought, so I went with my second thought.
Dude, that's the same.
He did a switch and then got you.
Yeah, because we got into this now, like Mephisto thing. Like, no, I don't think it's gonna happen.
It's Mephisto.
I mean that was my big theory. I thought it was gonna be Mephisto.
Oh my god! Between that and
AKA
Revan.
Darth Maul. No.
The thing that kept me from thinking it was Rex was actually they've already retconned the Ahsoka novel. So I went on the logic train of just like, of course, it has to be Rex because his only contact with them would be Ahsoka. And so like that's what makes sense to me. But I was like, they've already retconned the Ahsoka novel and other things a few times that says that Rex and Ahsoka are in different places. So it's not out of like the ballpark that they would retcon that again. And then I was like, they wouldn't put a cloak on Rex, would they? And they did.
They did.
And the
Rex
shoulders
just threw a blanket over the armor, and he's like, "It's fine. Nobody will know it's me."
It's fine.
He was just doing his Bail Organa cosplay. It's fine.
I was like, dude, you wear one of the most recognizable pieces of armor, and you just wear a cloak, a poncho, a fancy poncho.
Fancy poncho. We're keeping the Star Wars poncho tradition intact, and I
Like he
love
couldn't
it.
like go like hit up like a Old Navy or something, or like rob a Limited 2 to get some pants.
Okay, but maybe this is just me,
Rex.
but I would love to see Rex in civvies at some point.
I would love to see Rex in a lot of things.
I mean, I really want Megan to actually have a costume
not.
change.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We got there quick. That's fine.
It's because Alberto's here. We got to make it thirsty every 10 seconds.
Yeah, keep me up.
Do we think? I won't bring USBs into it.
We'll always be there.
I was like, does Echo need a USB? I mean, we have a lot of questions.
Oh,
Me.
God.
Speaking of Echo,
Yes.
why did Echo and Rex not talk? Why am I going to die mad about this?
Very odd.
Okay, but the thing is that the plot had a perfect mechanism built in for this because they have them go like under the knife, so to speak, and it takes a little bit of time to wake up. So they're like, and they have 3 guys to operate on. So we have some time.
They did a
And they time jump it. Not only did they time jump it, but this is our shortest episode. I'm like, you could have given me 2 minutes of these two. Like they haven't seen each other in forever.
Also, there was a prime moment when he's standing in the doorway looking at his helmet.
Mhm.
I was like, this is going to be it. Echo's going to walk over and he's going to say something it must have been hard, or like it was really hard, wasn't it? Or something like that to reflect on what Rex just went through. No.
Which is why I do hope that Rex comes back. Like, I totally agree with Hope. They need to stand on their own. They need to make their own choices. Like, Daddy Rex can't make all the choices for everybody, but he needs to come back once and talk to Echo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please. We need that scene.
Oh, God, I know. And they said 5s. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to have this conversation.
I know. I was like, they have to.
Just leave my boy.
That was total mixed direction.
Oh my God, I was so upset. Like, you can't tease me like that, Bad Batch. This is rude. So rude.
Rex is totally coming back. I just how they ended
Yeah,
it too. What did you? Okay, well, hold on, because I know I can be a little thirsty sometimes for Rex, just by how he handles things. But I want to say this: when he walked off into the smoke, what the hell was that about? I actually really dug that.
So
when he
cool.
It was dramatics. He learned from the best.
That is a man who spent years serving with Anakin Skywalker. Yes! Like everything is drama now.
He just went.
I just imagine like Anakin and Ahsoka just being like, "No, Rex, do it again." And like Rex kind of awkwardly walks into their smoke. And they're like, "No, do it again, man, do it again."
No,
And
he's running to
to
turn the
come in
smoke
handy
machine
one
back
day.
on.
How they shot it was crazy because it was it was him in the foreground and then you got Hunter in the background and like he just like walks into the smoke and he's gone. And I'm like, this is like something Prince would do. Like, what the hell is happening? This is so strange. I just couldn't figure out why they shot it that way, but it was cool. It was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
That conversation was great too
Mhm.
about there's a bigger cause for this, and I thought that was really nice. That if you ever need to join us or if you need something to do, please come help us because they would be a great ally, and that's true. And I think that's where we're going with the show towards the end. But the next episode kind of threw a wrench and all that on where the hell I thought the show was going. So
I have a
Just threw everything
question.
down the drain.
I have a question for the panel. Do you think, because like we've seen this sort of with the Disney shows, like WandaVision has been one season, and like what's the other one? Falcon and the Winter Soldier has been one season. Do you think Bad Batch will be multiple seasons or just one show? Because have they confirmed that if we're going to have multiple seasons?
the only person that said there will be multiple seasons is Jordan Mason with I forget who he writes for, to be honest with you, but he had said he said there would be 2 seasons of it more than likely, and Resistance had 2 seasons, so I would think this show gets 2 seasons too. Just
I think that comes from. I think
No. Resistance didn't choose to have 2 seasons, as confirmed as of
also
last
true.
week.
Yeah, that is also true.
As of last week, it was prematurely canceled because of cable and the move to Disney Plus. So, and that was in interviews last week. So,
Okay.
Interesting.
I think they'll probably build up this season to a point and then maybe bring it back for a second to wind it down and then tie it off and move on. That's if I had to guess, I think that's what they'd do.
I kind of want it to be 3 seasons. I think the first season, but I think shows work best in 3 seasons because then you can have the intro season, the darker middle chapter, and then the fight for victory season. I just think it's a good format for TV in general. I don't know if I have to go through another 2-season Star Wars animated show. I'm just gonna like politely not do anything because I'm a respectful fan. I'll be upset.
Just politely fume about it.
Well, this doesn't feel like a first season either. That's the one thing I will say. This show has not felt like a first season because first season you kind of have at least to me, you kind of have your moments of like, oh, okay, they're building this relationship, but like Bad Batch kind of kicked off. They already kind of knew where their places were, but Omega was the first season kind of thing they're having to deal with, you know what I mean? Like how do we fit in with this person, or how does this person fit in with us? So that's maybe the first season is like normal, storytelling thing I'm seeing at least. But I mean, that's just kind of how I perceive this whole first season has been really kind of just let's get started, and I kind of like that.
If we're going to talk about people fitting in and not fitting in, I think this is a good segue into episode 8. Because this is my concern with episode 8 is we are introduced to the Bad Batch in the Clone Wars and we're like, this is a unit that functions together and they're like a rock solid front. Crosshair is removed almost immediately once the show starts and they don't really stumble.
Yes.
So
You can make the case that they're not stumbling emotionally because they're big, tough soldier men and they don't talk about their feelings, like fine. But they don't stumble in terms of a unit. There's never like a shot that nobody could make because that would have been Crosshair's thing. There's no role that Crosshair would have filled that somebody else can't fill for him. So I did make the joke earlier that that's why Crosshair like flipped so quickly was because he's like, well, if you don't need me, the Empire does.
You guys don't need
salty.
Exactly.
But
I don't belong.
That's my concern is like they've set up this dynamic, but this new dynamic in this show is that they didn't ever really need Crosshair. And I would like to see them need Crosshair more. Because I'm slowly starting to become one of the only people who actually wants him to come back and be part of the team.
I'm here.
And actually,
No, you're not.
No, like it's like there's so many people who are like, well, I don't care. I'm like, I totally get that
so
because we
bad.
haven't seen him in 6 weeks.
Here, let me
And
bring you into
especially
like
because
my
they're
group of
part
like
of
my
this
other
unit.
circle.
They are part of this unit, and also you made a really good comparison in your review, Arzu, that like Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes. It's like he lost his friend, and you see that the aftermath of that. And here we see that, oh, how many episodes we haven't had Crosshair, and they're not like resenting, oh, we're missing our pal, we're missing our comrade in arms, something like that. So
it was the moment where they saw Crosshair again, like for the first time, and like it's Hunter that really stuck out because it wasn't like, oh my god, it's Crosshair. It was like, it's Crosshair. I'm like, okay, like that's how Anakin would have addressed like a battalion of droids. It's like that's the enemy. I'm like, that is your brother, sir.
That is something that I was actually kind of wondering is it was very clear the first few episodes how much time was passing. It was only a couple of days. But like this is where I kind of really want to know how much time has passed. Because if it's only been a month, then I could see them not having certain reactions versus others. But if it's been like 6 months or something, then I agree. Like we need more like kind of spending time with their emotions and wondering where Crosshair is and stuff and how that happens. So I really need to know some timelines right about now.
We were estimating like before, like, you know, you were listening, but like 6 weeks ish. But even then, like I get them not talking their feelings out because they're not there yet. But even just this kind of gut, like, oh my god, that was my ally who is now my enemy. Like just that quick moment. I'm like, let them have that moment. Like kids are much smarter than anybody will give them credit for. Kids will follow it. Obviously, we will follow it. So it's just it's like when your teacher tells you that they're not mad, they're just disappointed because they've seen you do this before and they would like you to do it again. That's how I felt with Crosshair in this episode. I'm like, I've seen you emotionally sucker punch me before. Yeah. Please sucker punch me again.
And then, you know, it's kind of visually represented towards the end of the episode when he gets scarred for, you know, turning against his brothers, which is really well done, you know, and I love how they did it. The fact that it led to, it's amazing. And honestly, I would think he might be out of commission for a little while. I don't know. I just, that blew me away right there. I was like, man, they're making that hatred manifest like literally on his face and like physically everything else. It's amazing. It's great storytelling.
Well, and Hunter said something really interesting when I was listening on my earphones. I can pick up some things that I wasn't able to on my phone. Sorry, my cat's biting me. But he said something like when Crosshair and like Hunter were facing off, Hunter was like, your issue's not with her, it's with me. And I'm like, why is there so much of an issue? I know we saw like in the first episode kind of their difference in opinions, but it feels very personal. Yeah, what Crosshair is doing, like none of this feels like. I think most of it is the chip, but some of it also feels incredibly personal. And I'm like, tell me the history, tell me the tea,
give us that angst, please.
I want the angst. I need this angst. So I don't know. It fascinates me.
What if we got like a flashback to them all as kids?
Oh my god, I'd cry.
Oh Jesus! Oh, and their own little group.
Oh my god.
The day that Wrecker gets Lula.
Oh my god.
99.
Have you guys seen the fan art? Yeah. Have you guys seen that fan art where somebody drew 99 giving Wrecker Lula?
Yeah.
Like, no, I couldn't handle that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's precious. Scotty, I'm going to tag you in it.
Please, thank you.
To say something.
No, I was going to say, I think it was around episode 3 or something that Wrecker says, I don't remember exactly what was happening, but Wrecker says that he missed Crosshair. I think that's the only time that's been referenced in that section, in that kind of what Arsu was saying. I would say when Clone Wars Season 7 came out and the Bad Batch episode arc was there, Crosshair was my least favorite of the 4 of them. But having gone then through Order 66 and turning to the Empire and those first 2 episodes, I did start enjoying his character a little bit more because it was different from the other Bad Batch. But I think it's one of your written reviews that you mentioned that at the end of episode 2, when they go and mow down all those civilians, Crosshair's just sitting in his bunk by himself, everyone left to party or whatever. He's sitting there, head down, kind of contemplating what he did. And then you start feeling bad for him. Oh, maybe he's having second thoughts or something. We don't see him for 4 or 5 episodes, and none of that comes to play. He's, again, 100% Empire-minded. And it kind of threw me off a little bit because there's no remorse that we saw from last time we saw Crosshairs. Again, threw me. I do like Crosshair being bad at this point. I don't want him to turn back to the Bad Batch so early. But I do understand that from the Bad Batch side, they haven't really missed him, like you guys said. I think in the episode 5, they tell Wrecker, "Oh, you go up there and be our lookout." He says, "Oh, that used to be Crosshair's spot. He's not here. You deal with it."
Yeah.
But he didn't have any issues being up high with no sniper rifle, shooting down all those police droids. So I do understand what you're saying, that they're not missing Crosshair not being part of the Bad Batch. Especially now they have basically 2 droids with Tech and Echo. And then Crosshair's like, yeah, okay, really didn't need that sniper, even though he almost shot both of them when they tried to escape that engine. But
Speaking of Tech, I thought that was a really interesting exchange between him and Omega in the bridge.
Yes.
Where she was asking for an emotional response, and he just didn't, I don't want to say quite get it, but like it almost felt reminded me of maybe like some of my like neurodivergent friends who sometimes do have a little bit more like logically like focused mind. And for one, I'm not saying that it is at all neurodivergent representation at all, but I think that could, and I also don't trust Star Wars to do this kind of representation as far as I can throw them. So let me also throw that one out too. But I think there's so many interesting possible stories that they could write about that. Because out of everybody's relationship, I've actually really been wanting to see Tech open up emotionally. Because he's really the only one that hasn't really, like, he loves Omega. He's there for her. He's constantly like kind of checking in on her on the background. But that's such an interesting relationship that's not really warm. It almost feels like it is droid-like. And I'm waiting for that shoe to drop on Tech where he has that emotional moment of just being more than just the droid of the team. Because I think that would do really, really a ton of legwork to really bring out that character and make him sing.
Yeah, I feel like unfortunately he falls into like the tech guy trope, which is the like generally unfeeling, I love my machines. You're cool, I guess, but I like my machines. He falls into that trope, unfortunately.
Has anybody like watched She-Ra here?
I started it. But...
seen the new She-Ra? He reminds me so much of Entrapta, who is actually a canonized autistic character. And she is very focused on her machines, and it's really good writing. But with those moments when she actually does open up and she's like, I know you might not understand my methods, but I'm doing it because I do love you guys. And this is how I do express love, is through this work. I think they could do something really cool with Tech where it's like, look, I know you guys don't always understand this, but I promise you this is what I'm doing to show Omega how I care for her. And I think that'd be a really cool way of doing that, because I love the Tech boys. They're always my favorite trope, and I'm just like, now give me your feelings.
Do you think we'll see it when they get Omega back, or when they try to get her back?
Hopefully we can see that opening from Tech.
Yeah, I can see them all going to quite extremes of their characters to get her back.
I'm just picturing Tech being the most emotional of them all when they get her back. Where did that come from?
I'm ready for Wrecker to yeet Cad Bane. As much as I love that character, I want to watch it happen.
Well, like the way Hunter sacrificed himself, essentially, you know, y'all not gonna lie, for like about a minute there, I was losing my mind.
Most
like,
stressful 3 minutes of my life.
I was like, there's no way.
I thought he was dead.
I seriously thought he was dead, and I was like, they just went there. I'm like, that's the best introduction for Cad Bane ever, number one. But besides that, I think that emotional connection we will get when there is hopefully the inevitable reunion. But I mean, in terms of storytelling, what happened this episode just threw a complete wrench in everything I thought this show would be again. Like, now it's going to be about retrieving someone, and everyone has different ways of getting her. It's going to be so great.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were building up to her getting separated from them, and then them having to go after her. Since there's so many people were after her, it was a logical move for somebody to get her. But I don't think I would have ever thought Cad Bane in a million years.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was thinking like Fennec would show back up.
That was amazing.
I have to say though, I am like.
No, go ahead.
I really hope that we get, even though he's like 13 going on 14, Boba Fett, because we have that unused scene of his showdown with Cad Bane and how he gets the dent in his helmet.
Yep.
Like, it'd be really great knowing how they work with recycling things that they've not used, if he, who's also a bounty hunter, has picked up that token to go find Omega, and he takes down Cad Bane.
Oh my god!
and then realizes it's his sister. And look, they're not dissimilar in age. She's a little bit younger than him, but like she looks a lot like the last time we saw Boba Fett. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can picture him being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get this girl," and then be like,
Sister.
The cases.
What's the Spider-Man meme?
I know. No, and that brought the same question when back when in Camino and the first at the beginning of the episode when they were talking about several bounty hunters or something, like not like we found out they were the ones calling on Fennec Shand, like that hired Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
But when they mentioned like others bounty hunters, I mean, I have to be honest, I didn't think of Cad Bane. I thought, oh, let's see who's the one who they hired. And I even thought Boba Fett, but I thought, well, he's young. But anyway.
Yep, like Scotty said, when that voice came in, just for those half seconds, you knew who it was, and just that look of Cad Bane was so cool. I don't have a better way to say his introduction. His design was awesome. The voice, as soon as you heard that, you knew who it was. I'm a Cad Bane fan and Boba Fett before, but seeing Cad Bane made sense, and they have to have that Cad Bane Boba Fett standoff. It has to happen officially. I know it's there in the finish, but we have to see it.
Yeah.
I will be so upset if they bring back Cad Bane just to kill him. I will not be okay. Actually, I will not be okay because Cad Bane was like my first bounty hunter that I actually always loved, and he was my first. And I was always, what was so interesting about the animatics is they've all been canon. So I just didn't think Cad Bane would come back because that took place during a Clone War era. The only one that they've actually changed was the Nix Okami one. But they changed that to the Martez sisters, but the story still played the same. So it wasn't real. The only thing they really changed was the character. So I just had no thoughts that Cad Bane. And then I saw Toto. I lost it actually with Toto.
Literally,
I was so excited to see Toto again. I'm like,
hear Seth Green's voice come out of him. I love Cad, but I also love Toto. Toto's my favorite droid as well. Like my favorite droid. And so I lost it and he got his little booster shot up.
Yeah.
But then he took his little booster and slapped him like a bow with it. I loved everything about it. It was so good. But I will lose my mind if they do that scene and they kill they bring back Cad Bane for an episode just to kill him. I will lose it and not be okay. But I feel like they might have brought him back because I will not be surprised if he pops up in War of the Bounty Hunters now. That has that Kanan comic Rebel synergy because there's a few episodes of the Kanan comic that lined up with episodes being released. Mainly the first episode with Fenn Rau was released the same day as the Kanan comic introducing Fenn Rau on that same day. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if they dropped this episode and like the next week or two he's going to pop up in the War of the Bounty Hunters because they're really good about that synergy.
That'd be cool.
Well, at least not lately, but they have been, I should say.
See, I would love a Book of Boba Fett appearance, and I don't know if this episode alone yielded to something like that, but I would be very thankful to have that be maybe part of the plot of that show, since we barely know a thing about it. So,
and I like that. I like not knowing anything.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think I'll say this too: the fact that they made him appear the way he appeared, and y'all. I love the way they shoot the show. When they showed the helmet leaning back like on its side, and then they kind of cut it and they flip the camera to follow up behind Hunter and Omega. I'm like, this is awesome. Because I thought, it wouldn't make sense for a young Cal Kestis. I mean, he'd be like really young, like 11. Like he'd be way too young to end up doing what he did. But when they showed it was Cad Bane and it was that voice, I lost my mind for about a minute there. I was very excited. So it's just, he's such a badass guest. Wow, look at that. He's just such a badass character.
I love the new costume.
We got an outfit change. We love it.
Oh
my God.
Cool.
It's so good. So
That
good.
was good. So good.
Oh, that shot. Oh my god. Yes. I could just stare at that all day. I love that so
Wait,
much.
isn't that his costume in the animatic? Am I just pretending?
Are he and
No,
Boba going to get into a duel over Omega?
What? Oh, I'm a fan.
No.
Oh my god.
That
yes.
came out of absolutely nowhere. I'm just saying that's the animatic outfit.
I
and that's
appreciate
what
that.
they're using it.
Oh, it's
I
pretty darn
absolutely
close.
love-
Oh,
oh my God.
no, I don't want him to get
Oh.
shot.
And
It's
then
pretty darn close.
oh my god.
Hope
Yeah.
this is Star Wars. No one is ever really.
No one's
Darth
safe.
Maul
Yeah.
Swear to
got
God.
dissected, and he came back.
Where
it was
to
a
go?
long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. They're all already dead. Everybody's dead.
That's not helping.
Not in my
Thanks,
life.
Zach.
No, they're not dead in my fan fiction. Shut up.
Not in my fact fiction. That's right.
No, nobody's
That's
ever
about
dead in
right.
fan fiction.
No.
Nobody's ever dead in canon
No one's ever
if it is
really gone.
lucrative enough.
We're not going there.
Okay,
Exactly.
Not doing it.
Here's the interesting thing I have about Boba Fett in this then. Because it's very clear in the first Kid Boba Fett arc that he had no love for the other clones. In fact, one of the clones said, "What are you doing? We're your brothers." And Boba said, "You're not my brothers." And he killed one of them.
I've
And
heard
so
your
it makes-
voice thousands
Because
of
he's a
times.
little punk teenager.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if he would actually care about Omega, and I think that would be could be a very interesting dynamic where she might actually get him to maybe own his cloneness.
Mhm. Who
Make
he
Boba
is
get
and
his
what
clone
he
back,
is.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that could be a very either really scary dynamic or a really good dynamic if that does end up happening.
He
It
could
could go
be like
both
more
ways.
willing to give Omega leeway because she's not, bred for combat like all the other clones are. Because he wasn't, so he probably, even in just that respect, felt apart from them.
And she doesn't share his father's face.
She doesn't have his father's face. She doesn't have any enhancements. From what we can tell, she's growing at a natural rate. So maybe he feels that they being unaltered in that sense. Maybe they have a little more in common, and he might be more inclined to listen.
Record teaching Omega how to disable a smoke bomb was hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
It was
It's
so
chaotic
cute.
sibling energy right there. I would
It's the most irresponsible
do
thing
that.
I've ever seen.
Do it.
hands
You
down.
know, it makes me think of the contingency plan too that was mentioned. I want to know why Omega is that important that they have to hire bounty hunters to get her back. And
Exactly.
it's just going to be super interesting to see how that plays out over the next couple of weeks. Like what makes her, and we know she's unique for some reason. We don't know the actual, book or text answer to it, but I can assume maybe it has to do with her adaptability. I don't know. I want to know why she is so key to their contingency plan.
I have a theory.
Okay, let's hear it.
And y'all know me, and I am firmly team. We have surpassed the need for Palpatine, but I don't think she's a Palpatine. Be very clear on that front. But
I get that.
Palpatine's post Return of the Jedi survival plan was called his contingency plan.
Yes, that is correct.
And now that we know that somehow Palpatine is cloning himself and he's got a jar of pickle snokes, he's clearly involved in cloning in some capacity. So I'm almost wondering if these are the same contingency plan, that he is working with them and he's using the term contingency plan. So they are using the same term.
Sure.
No reason why it's not.
Yeah. So I'm almost wondering if it's got something to do with that, which then ties into what the clone scientists in Mando were doing, which means we can have a little 10-year-old Dr. Pershing
Here
with
we
his
go. I knew she'd say
glasses.
that.
Oh my goodness.
I knew you'd say that.
Little apprentice Pershing with his giant glasses following Noah around.
But do you think he would keep something like that from Tarkin, for example? We've seen Tarkin already since the first episode. He's like, okay, we're done with clones, we're done with Kamino, get everyone out of here. But then if Palpatine is working with the Kaminoans and all the cloning with Omega, will Tarkin be kind of shut out from that?
I think so, because Palpatine seems like the 3 can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead kind of guy. So I feel like he's like, Tarkin doesn't need to know that. He can run my government, and I'm going to run around with my jar of pickle snokes, and we can coexist. And Tarkin can just be like his attack dog almost.
So going back real quick to the previous episode with Rex, do you think there's a reason he's keeping it quiet? How he got his chip removed? Not mentioning Ahsoka? Is it just because he doesn't trust the Bad Batch yet to know that there's more Jedi out there? Is there another reason he's kind of I got help? It's a good story for another time, basically, not saying everything.
If they're trying to, sorry, I'm just monopolizing it, but if they're trying to salvage anything they can from the Ahsoka novel, because I know some of it's different now, but if they're trying to salvage any of it, it could be that she went on the run a little later than she did in the novel, and now Rex is just not saying anything because he doesn't want other people to know where she is.
Yeah,
So that could be it.
I mean,
yeah, because if we remember from the comics, there she's on the list that of the Jedi or Force users that are on the run.
Mm-hmm. So I hope you.
So
I was just gonna say, if we also really want to break this down a little bit more logically too. I mean, Rex has only been on like one mission with them. Like he has a long track relationship with Echo, but he's only been with the Bad Batch a short amount of time, and information like that dangerous of, hey, Ahsoka Tano's alive. I feel like he would definitely play that close to his heart. Hi.
Especially considering their relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Wood.
So can we talk about how hot Cad Bane was? Because oh my god,
yeah.
and his leathers.
You know,
oh
my God.
I wish originally George had intended for him to smoke a cigarette the whole time, and I think Cartoon Network said no. How badass if he showed up with a cigarette in his mouth with Disney
Now
Plus.
that it's cigarette.
Just dragging on his cigarette. I'm like, that'd be sick. Oh my god, that'd be so cool.
I think it was
Toothpick buddies. They go toothpick shopping together.
Which
I was
is
about to
interesting
say,
too, right?
Star Wars Explained actually made that joke of like, what if Crosshair and Cad Bane fight toothpicks together? I was like, Alex.
I need a toothpick standoff.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
looking
No.
toothpicks at each other.
Well, somebody today on my feed, we're gonna roll Cad Bane into him shooting Hunter, which was very distressing for me.
So hot.
It was that was
No.
that was the point where I'm like, I
No.
need to trip this blue bastard for a minute.
Yes.
Hold
Not
on.
happy.
What is this murder as we're just like woo woo Marchion Row woo woo?
Cad Bane shoots Hunter.
Because
Like,
Martian-
we've got a problem.
If Marcion Rose shot Hunter,
I
it would be like Marcion who? He is dead to me.
Yes.
I'd fight a bitch. No. I thought something was really interesting, and I caught it on my second watch. No.
I was like, I'm here to say if Fennec Shan and Martian Road teamed up to shoot Hunter, I'd be like, good job. Where can I pay you?
Throw down. Nobody shoots Hunter. I was so distressed. I was so distressed. Oh my god, it was horrible. Anyways, no.
wow.
Well, somebody. Sorry, I'm going back to this again because
Yes.
it distresses me. But somebody pointed out in my feed today that there was actually a Republic Commando callback with Hunter. I don't know if you guys have ever played the game, but when Hunter's
Oh, with
helmet,
the map, yeah. the
when
helmet.
Hunter's helmet turned back on, it's exactly what you see in Republic Commando when you get yourself shot and come back, which I've done many times.
So
Yes,
many
of course.
times.
So many times. I just thought that was really cool how they're integrating some of that stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool.
David
And to see the
Collins-
inside of the helmets, I'm like, oh yeah, you really don't have any periphery in here. This is terrible. Why are you wearing this?
I completely forgot that they don't see normally in their helmets. So when it turned on, and because I haven't played Republic Commando, when it turned on, my first thought was, what happened to Hunter?
Yeah.
What's wrong with his eyes? And I'm like, wait, this is the helmet.
Yeah.
But
Makes you wonder like how Echo sees, because he's got like this little like his eyes aren't that
That's
small.
true.
Like it's very
Right?
strange. I don't
That's
know.
funny.
It's cool. It's fiction.
I
It's
did
faking in
see
space, whatever.
Style over function every day, everybody.
Listen, as somebody who wears these helmets, there is no such thing as function in those things.
Yeah.
You cannot see shit.
might as well go for style then.
Exactly.
There
go
you
for the drama. Go for the drama.
I did see somebody on my feed today pointing out that Crosshair got a face full of ion engine.
Oh,
yeah. What does that do to somebody?
What's that going to do to his eye? To his
Yeah,
shooting eye?
that's true.
Oh yeah.
That was
Good
the mistake you were making. Like, what's going to happen to him
It's
in
the
that
sh-
respect?
Is the sharpshooter going to be able to see?
I'm actually think that's going to be the beginning of his redemption. Kind of.
Oh,
This is going to sound really crazy, but let me explain. Sort of like Agent Callus, because in Rebels, when Callus was injured and like got stuck with like Zeb and everything, he got back and he was injured and no one cared, and that
Yep.
kind of solidified his feelings. So I could see like now if Crosshair's not useful, and the clones are being phased out, they're just going to discard him. And what does that mean?
Crosshair said, "You're of no
that's a
use
good
to the
point.
Empire."
I'm glad I made it here in time. I win.
Oh my god! Yeah, no. I had
That's a
another
deal.
theory too, because if Cad Bane's bringing Omega back to Kamino or back to
Yeah.
a secret base, her and Crosshair are going to be together. Is Crosshair going to help Omega? Is Omega going to help Crosshair? Like my brain, like I need it
Will they help each other?
because the Bad Batch can't get on freaking Kamino. They
No,
can't
they
get there. Like there's no way.
Mm.
I'm like, is this what's going to happen? Sorry, I have lots of feelings about this. So
A lot
many
of
feelings
feelings,
about
I know.
this.
Well, usually
Oh,
with
I
the
want
show,
it so bad.
well, like with Rebels and not maybe Clone Wars. I didn't watch it when it was airing, but with Rebels, whenever it was the mid-season, stop, they had 6 weeks break because it was television, right? I mean, that's how they used to do things. But like this would have been on a mid-season break, and they would have made us wait, 6 weeks till the next episode came out. And like, I mean, I'm glad this show doesn't. You don't have to do that with this show. The reason I'm saying this comes down to the fact that, like, that's an incredible realization. Hope I didn't think about it that way. The fact that could damage his eye and stop him from being able to use his fullest abilities. It stops the one thing he's good at, and you could tell he had one eye completely covered. I mean, whenever he put on his Dengar mask, where the hell that was, I just loved what that represented in terms for his story, and also in terms for where this story is going to go too. That's awesome. That was really
It's going to
great.
be the one time that Bacta will suddenly not work.
Yeah.
Magical back then.
Oh, it's amazing.
I don't know. Maybe they'll do some enhancement or something, and he keeps getting closer and closer to a Death Trooper. I know some people out there were saying, "Is he going to be the first Death Trooper?" Maybe they'll do something with his face and his eye. He needs that mask. His vocal cords get all messed up.
Mhm.
It's all that chitter that those Death Troopers make. So who knows? It will be interesting. I hope Crosshair stays bad for a little bit longer, but I'm guessing eventually he'll turn. He'll do his. I know. Will he sacrifice himself? Redemption through sacrifice.
No.
Sacrifice.
No, oh my god, no.
Let's
Albert,
go.
I-
Let's go. Let's
Let
go.
him be
Albert.
Agent
Oh.
Callus. Let him make it
I
through this
will-
I still
alive.
love the theory of him getting the chip out, and then he's like, "What do you mean? I love the Empire."
I think
Y'all
that
didn't
would
mean
be
the Empire, guys.
interesting story wise. Will they do it? I don't
It's
know.
like, fine, make me your villain.
Oh,
You're all-
he's no hero.
Mm-mm.
So, one thing I wanted to ask everybody, because I've been kind of wavering on this all day, is the Kaminoans mentioned that they have hired several bounty hunters to bring Omega, which would make me think
Yes.
naturally that they hired Fennec Shand as well. But when Fennec calls her employer and says, "I didn't get her," they don't show who she's speaking to, and they make it. Maybe it's just me thinking that they're playing it off like a mystery, because it would make sense that we just see that she's talking to Kamino if that's who had hired her.
Sure.
Yeah,
So, wondering
But
if
then
y'all
again,
think that
they
they
did
did
that
hire.
with Rex too.
Yeah, so this is why I've been waffling on it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I've been
they might
waffling.
just not said anything.
Waffling.
Synergy. but I'm just
That's
wondering if y'all
interesting.
think that the Kaminoans hired Fennec as well, or do you think there's somebody else?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
I-
Because we
I
are
wonder-
inferring that the Kaminoans are the ones who hired her, but we didn't see, like you said. So
Sure. Do you think we're going to get like a Han and Carbonite kind of, recently in the Bounty Hunters comic, they've been trying to fight over who gets who? I mean, that could be the case. I mean, Cad Bane could leave with Omega, and then for the next 2 episodes, we can get people, boarding onto Cad Bane's ship, taking Omega, and vice versa. But I would assume it was the Kaminoans that Fennec Shand was talking to. But I mean, you're right. There's a deliberate reason they didn't show him.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they hired her, but I don't know if she was talking to them when she
It's
called.
true.
Oh,
Yes.
that's also true. Ooh,
Yeah.
I like that one.
intermediary.
I like
We're talking to
that.
Cad Bane.
I like that.
Something I actually kind of like about this show is they haven't been playing like a long game coy for like later payoffs. It's usually just like, who's the mystery person? It's Rex. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I feel like if it was somebody, I can't think of anybody else who it would be though if it wasn't the Kaminoans. Because I don't know if anybody else. I mean, who else would know about her? Who else would know? about Omega and why she's important and all of that, other than say like Palpatine, or maybe this is going to be the longest of long shots, but the only other person that knows about them really is kind of like Obi-Wan, you know? And I definitely don't think that was him. I see Arzu. I see you.
Obi-Wan.
I definitely don't think that's him. I mean, I really, there's no reason for it to be. So I don't know. I'm just racking my brain of who else it could be. So, I mean, to me, it has to be the Kaminoans logically, because I can't think of anybody else it would be.
Yeah.
Unless Palpatine was just like, it's Saturday night and I'm bored. Let me pit pawns against each other. I'm Palpatine.
It was Palpatine all along.
Okay,
Wow.
so before we wrap things up, final thoughts as we hit this mid-season point.
Oh God, I'm not ready.
Oh, heavens.
I love it. I love this. This is one of the few. I don't know. I like Clone Wars last season, and I've been pretty. I watched all of Rebels when it was coming out, but like when it comes to this show, I feel every episode has been super consistent and super solid. At least with me. I don't know. I've very much enjoyed waking up and watching these, and it's been kind of a treat just to be able to get kind of like The Mandalorian. You don't know where they're going to start. You don't know where the episode's going to end. So it's not like we're so used to Clone Wars with what's it called? Arcs. And you've got an arc, 3-episode, 4-episode, 5-episode arc. But this has been really nice to have a really good story and then a story that ends, just as soon as it began. So I've really loved it. Really loved it. And I'm looking forward to wherever it's going to take me, because I have never predicted this show right so far. It's always been completely different than what I thought it would be. It's great.
Anybody else?
I guess for me, like I mentioned at the beginning, some episodes midway, I was starting to feel a little bit down because I'm also interested in these Kaminoans, Empire, the Kaminoan storyline with Omega. Why do they want her? And the Empire's kind of growth in the galaxy that we saw the first couple of episodes. That's what really got me into this series. So I'm glad that this episode, this mid-season break or mid-season finale, whatever, it's kind of bringing that we saw the first couple of episodes back into it, and interesting to see where it goes. And now again, with the Bad Batch not having Omega, having to find her, is it gonna be different bounty hunters chasing us after Cat Bane? Why does the Kaminoans want Omega back? And everything changing with the Empire. It's very interesting where the show can go for the second half. So yeah, liking it so far. Very hopeful for the next 8 episodes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to echo what Alberto and Scotty have said. I love Star Wars animation. Like that's kind of really where I enjoy most of my Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And this show again has surprised me. It's given me a lot to think about and pick through, and I've really enjoyed it. And and there's been a couple episodes where it's like, okay, like I might watch one more than the other and get something more out of different characters every time around. But that's what I really enjoy about it, is like the really solid storytelling. We're following this group. We wrap up, we start with a problem, we wrap it up. But then there's also this undercurrent of other threads that are coming together, and they're coming together in incredibly unexpected ways, like with Cad Bane showing up. I love that. Yeah. I love being so surprised like that. And it was a joy. Like when in Aftermath in the first episode, when we see Kanan, was not ready for that at all either. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I want to keep being surprised. I want to keep enjoying the show, be it the animation, the music, the characters, the story. There's always something in an episode that I can find I enjoy. And sometimes that's really rare. So
the music, I forgot. I wanted to mention the music in this episode. So I am convinced that when you see Crosshair stepping down off that shuttle, and it's a nice close-up shot of his face, that you can hear the first 2 notes of Kylo Ren's theme. I have been told I'm the only one who can hear these notes.
I did not hear that.
I did not hear that.
They're there.
I need to
rewatch.
Once the soundtrack comes out, I'll re-listen and see if we'll compare notes. We can do that. Because I'm convinced it's the Clones theme slowed way down.
That's what I thought it was.
I think it's the Clones theme slowed way, way down. And I think they switched it into a minor key or something. Maybe. I could be very wrong on that. Yeah.
I'm not a music like
I'm gonna rewatch.
No, you're gonna help me with that.
It was brilliant though. The music has been super consistent in terms of how good it is.
Beautiful.
And it's very dramatic. And the fun thing I will say is the Kiner Brothers, that Twitter page has been a really nice addition to the hype train where they're like,
everybody's having so much fun tweeting about this. Like Jennifer, the Kiner Brothers, like
David Collins.
Yeah, David Collins. Like everyone's having a great time. You can tell how much they love this show. And I think that's what feeds into everybody's like hype and enjoyment. Like it makes it fun because we didn't get that with Clone Wars. Like it came out in 2005. How old were most of us? Most of us didn't have a Twitter. So.
I was in college on Twitter.
Okay, some of us were. I was on Twitter. Not involved in this at all.
Ass.
But I don't know. It's just a different feeling. It's just like a different feeling when you have these creators that you can see that love it just as much as we do. Yes. And they're just kind of like poking the fandom bear, like, guess who's showing up tomorrow? And we're all like, Cal Kestis. They're like, bitch, Cad Bane. So I loved it. I love it. That's another thing. I didn't even think about that social part. So it's fun.
I guess just looking back on the half season so far, to actually this is going to sound like a slight, and I don't mean it this way, I swear, because I was thinking, I was actually surprised when you were saying that this is a very unpredictable show, Scotty, because I actually find the show very predictable. I think it's actually one of the safest pieces of Star Wars I've ever seen.
Sure.
It's very predictable.
But I don't mean that as a bad thing, because looking back on all of Star Wars animation, and also, let's say Star Wars TV, because that way we can throw The Mandalorian in on this as well, it really is a culmination of everything that comes before it. And I think actually why this show is so predictable to me, because I can tell these are the writers of Resistance. I'm a huge Resistance fan. And it feels like Resistance. It has the pacing of Resistance. It has the character development of Resistance. They're treating Crosshair like Tam in season 2 by keeping him sidelined. I mean, like, it has that feel to me. But it's also has so much Rebels in it. It has so much Mandalorian in it. It has so much Clone Wars in it, of course, because they're Clone Wars characters. But like but I kind of like that, because on one hand, we know what to kind of expect. But then when we get stuff like Cad Bane, it's the cameos that makes it like super exciting. Even though if the show is very safe and predictable at times. Like, I think that's why I didn't like episode 7, because I was like, oh, this is going exactly how I thought it was going to go. There's nothing exciting about this. So that's the only thing I would like to see going into the second half is I want to see them do new stuff. I always want to see new stuff in Star Wars. I want to see them push some boundaries some more, because whether or not you love or hate Resistance, it tried new things. It tried very progressive storytelling, and it swung for the fences. And I'd rather something swing for the fences and fail than be super safe and predictable every single week. And I want to see them push the boundaries, like make this very progressive storytelling. Do what they're doing with like the High Republic, maybe surprisingly not whitewash your characters, or like make one of them queer. Like, I don't know, like just do something to push a boundary, because it feels like The Mandalorian. It feels like a lot of Rebels. It feels like that. I mean, I've seen this before. It's still cool to see it, but I still love it. I know I just kind of brought this down, but I really do love this show. I always want something new with Star Wars, and it's not for me.
No,
and I want that. And
it's valid. One thing that for example, these 2 episodes, I noticed the world where they went. Braca immediately. Most of us, Jedi Fallen Order, and we maybe expected to see Cal Kestis or something, but no. And it is interesting to see that, but it was maybe a misdirection. But it would be nice to see expanded. And one thing they have done right is, for example, them interacting, how they are surviving beyond the structure they had as clones, even if they were Clone Force 99, but they belonged to a certain structure, a certain way. So it is interesting to see that. And for the next half season, I would like to see how their characters are more developed, like both the Bad Batch and Crosshair, to see, well, if he's gonna have a redemption, if he's just like you guys said, that hey, no, I'm on the Empire. So that is gonna be interesting to see, and what unexplored areas and worlds they can show in that development.
That is the thing that gets me about this show, because if we're talking about how this show functions, this will not be this probably will not be a canon changing show. There's probably nothing of this that's going to change the fabric of the canon. So the characters have to change. This has to be a character thesis, character deep diving, changing show. Or are we just looking at the world changing around them? So like that's what I really want to see. I like you put it great, Norhal. I want to see this development start happening on all of them. And that's why I was questioning how many seasons is this going to be? Is season 1 Hunter season? Is season 2 going to be Wrecker? Season 3, like, you know, it's like DuckTales where each triplet gets their own season of storytelling. Like, what's happening?
That's brilliant.
That's really
it was a good structure for that show, though, you know? Season 1 was Dewey, season 2 was Louie, and season 3 was Huey. And you actually had that form for each season of character development.
Well, they might do half seasons, because I would argue that this half season was Wrecker. Wrecker focused. And then now that Hunter is faced with that question of what do I do with the group, like the back half of the season could be like Hunter's season. Yeah. And then next year we get like half on Echo, half on Tech. And then one last season to bring Crosshair home.
Bring the boy home. Been really interesting, I think. I think he's kind of the quiet dark horse in all of this too. Like being the reg of the group, like he is such an interesting character in this show that I actually kind of want to see him walk, you know, just leave on his own volition, only just because he was just kind of shoehorned in here because of trauma and that he had to be, and he did find a family, but I don't know. I want to see them push some boundaries and make some really bold story choices or bold character choices. I want to see romance, but one of them go on a date. Exactly. Can you imagine that episode of like them like being like, all right, Tech, here's the girl of your dreams. You know, make sure you like woo her. And he's like, none of us has ever dated. What are we doing?
God. No.
Can you imagine?
Those poor boys. They live off rations. They wouldn't know what to do with a fork and a spoon. It'd be awkward as hell.
I personally think Wrecker is a pansexual bear because he just loves everyone. So he's just like, you and you and you. We're all dating and I love you all. These are my brothers. They come with me at all times. And why are you running away from me? Okay, see you next time.
I just want a pod race. That's just me, though. I'm just going to say that out loud.
Oh.
It's so stupid, but like, give me a pod race. Like, I don't know.
Pod racing.
So who would drive the pod racer?
Oh, give it to Tech or Echo. It'd be badass.
Echo, yeah.
God.
Oh, it'd be
Echo's reckless 501st instincts would kick in. He's like, yeah, let's do it.
He'd be channeling Fives and Heavy, and you know, Ghost Heavy and Fives would be like, yeah,
and then Hardness in the back going, yeah.
It's just the show that would yield for that.
That's actually kind of like where we are at the mid-season. I said what I wanted to see is more progressive and bold storytelling. What does everybody else want to see in the back half of the season?
I want Echo to process his trauma. I want him to have a place to do that. Whether that's with Rex or he opens up to everybody else. It's just he has had his personhood stripped before in as much as clones have them. And then he's had it stripped twice this season.
Yep.
Back to back.
Yeah.
That cannot be sitting easy with my boy Echo, and I would like him to have the chance to process that.
Yeah,
I'll see. I think for me, it's hoping that they don't rely too much on reveals, because every time an episode ends, says, "Oh, who was Fennec Shand talking to? Oh, who were the Maltese sisters talking to? Oh, here's Rex. Here's Cat Bane." And that's what we're talking about, and not about the core group and their story. We're kind of a lot of the talk after the episodes is all the people that came back and who might be hiding. I wanted to focus more on the characters that were on the Bad Batch, Omega, and that story, and kind of forget about the cameos and all that for a little bit. I mean, we all love them. I love seeing Cat Bane. I love seeing Fennec Shand, but kind of, okay, we don't need the cameos to enjoy this show. Let us see these characters and now how do they deal with this? I mean, Cat Bane's there. We're going to hopefully keep seeing him because he has Omega, obviously. We're kind of just, all right, we're done with the cameos. And again, we talked about this when Mando Season 2 came out. too many cameos, but it worked there, so it might work here. But
Sure.
the conversation usually goes to the cameos and who was someone talking to, instead of what I think the show should focus a little bit more on, which are the main characters.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I agree.
Anybody else? Okay, so with that in mind, Maggie, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Maggie of the Town. I have a link tree in my bio where you can find all of my various podcasts. Your Money Geek et al.
I guess that's me.
Yeah.
So you can find me Radio Rebel Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Actually, we do live streams every Saturday at 5. So tomorrow we have one at 5 p.m. talking about Bad Batch, of course. And Dooku Jedi Lost, you can see here between my head and Cat Bane's shoulder. We're going to be talking about that. We have a great guest. Jedi Geek Girl is going to be here. And yeah, it's going to be fun. So join us. And then the audio podcast comes out on Monday. So, yay.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, well, I'm Norhel. You can find me on Twitter. On my bio, you can check all my where you can find me, and also you can check talking about Star Wars, Marvel, pop culture in general, music, ranting about Kylo Ren and such. So yeah.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Beskar_Kyber15, and also on Followers of the Force. We have a live stream at 7. So after you're done watching Alberto, come hang out with us. We're cool too. At least pretend we're cool. I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of screaming, I'm sure. But we do that, and then we have new episodes every Monday and Wednesday.
So you can find me on Twitter as well, Instagram. I mean, I think it's the Scotty Jero. I don't remember exactly. I'm sure you could find me somehow. If you look up the Bombadcast, you can find me easily. But we're back on our old original YouTube page, and Jerry's got a new show. I got a new show, and of course, we got the Bombadcast every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. But yeah, I'm starting my new show next Wednesday. It'll be a video game streaming show, and I'm very excited. And it's not just Star Wars. I want to say that it's like any video game. So from 1985 to 2021. So very excited to start that. But thank you for having me, by the way. This is wonderful. This is awesome.
Thank you all for being here.
Awesome.
Yeah. If you go to Hope Molinex there, you'll see in my bio my other 2 podcasts. I have J Guys and Jedi, which is a Star Wars animation podcast. We're actually currently deep diving through Resistance right now. And I also have a podcast called Hope Makes Chris Watch Cartoons, where I force my co-podcaster to watch my favorite animated shows, and we're wrapping up Gravity Falls, and he's starting to watch Avatar for the first time.
Nice.
He's never seen it before, so
Love it.
we record ahead. We're actually 3 episodes ahead, but he's really enjoying it so far. So spoilers for when we get caught up. So
Sick.
I can be found at Arzuamin personally and at arzu.d2.com, and the Geeky Waffle Network can be found at geekywaffle.com, geeky_waffle on Twitter, the Geeky Waffle everywhere else, Instagram, TikTok, Patreon, patreon.com/the Geeky Waffle, where we have Waffles After Dark for our patrons. Tonight was but a taste. I assure you it's far more NSFW in terms of content and language. And yeah, and then you can find all of our shows, including our live streams, Geeky Waffle, Straight Outta Home Video, Space Waffles, Starbucks Lovers, and a Fight Club Far, Far Away. So we will see you here at this time in 2 weeks. So until then, good night.
good night.
Thank you.
Bye.